Misfits podcast.
New pre-roll. It's your boy Javon. Matt is gone this week, so I brought on a good friend of mine, Brandon. He's not a good friend. He's a distant friend. Not a big fan of him, but since I don't have Matt, I had to figure out somebody to be on the podcast. So welcome, Brandon. What's up?
What's going on? Distant friend.
Distant.
You.
I appreciate you so much. So we have a lot to talk about today because world is going crazy. Jonas Brothers are back. Year 2019 on the James Corden show. Did you see that?
I did.
How'd you feel about
Nick
it?
had his tight pants back on. It was pretty different.
I don't like that. The only thing that you had to say about that was that Nick had
Well, it's because
tight
he did the
pants.
little Van Halen jump and he could barely put his legs out. That's why I noticed it.
I don't know, man. That was a little suspect. What?
Well.
What do you? What do you know about Jonas Brothers?
I know they were pretty popular back in early 2000s.
And you were like, what, 6?
I was yeah, maybe. Yeah, when they really blew up with year 3000.
Yeah.
They're on Disney Channel. What was it? 2013, I think, is when they split up.
It was that.
It was
late. Really?
2013.
I swear they only had that one song. You know, something that I always like to highlight is that 1/3 of their band has diabetes.
Yep. You have no idea how many times I've heard that joke.
It's not a joke. Diabetes
it's
is not a joke. What is wrong with you? What did I do? Why did I bring you onto this podcast for you to make fun of diabetes?
I did not mean to do that.
All right, Brandon, tell me a little bit about you, because I know you, but the people listening don't.
Well, my name's Brandon, obviously. I was born in Texas.
Texas. Everything's
Houston.
smaller in Texas.
It's a lie. And I play guitar for the worship band. I am graduated. I'm 19 years old.
Cool.
That's really kind of me.
Sick. All right. Well, Jonas Brothers are back, better than ever. Nick has tight pants. I'm glad that we covered that. I heard. Okay, I know that this has nothing to do with ministry, but I heard that there's a 4th Jonas,
There is.
and that he was arrested.
He was arrested for possession.
Possession of what?
Marijuana.
So Jonas Brothers out here getting high.
They've made that known. Kevin hasn't. I know Nick and Joe have.
Okay, Nick and Joe are stoners. But I thought so. I remember somebody, maybe it was you, said that the Jonas Brothers were a Christian band at some point.
They weren't a Christian band, but they made it known that they had Christian beliefs and they had faith. They had the purity ring thing going for a while. They made that pretty known, and then they exposed themselves while they had
with the tight
purity rings.
jeans. Oh, okay, not like okay.
But come to find out that they broke that promise pretty early on.
Speaking of breaking that promise, Justin Bieber with his 1 year. Did you hear about that? Justin Bieber and his fiance took 1 year of purity before they got married because he had broken that beforehand and he wanted to give his relationship to God.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Real deal. Shout out to Biebs. I love that guy. And I always did. Some people, there are haters of every artist, but Justin Bieber's proven that he's changing and has changed over the years. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Good for him.
I love Justin Bieber. I got Justin Bieber over the Jonas Brothers.
I mean, hey, that's your opinion.
So you're saying Justin Bieber's not better than the Jonas Brothers?
I think Justin Bieber's a very talented guy.
Uh-huh.
He's an extremely talented guy.
Yeah. I say Justin Bieber as a whole band is better than Jonas Brothers, but that's fine.
Justin Bieber as a whole band.
You put 3 Biebers in one band, outrageous. Jonas Brothers, they're cool, whatever. I love those guys. Congratulations to them getting back. So we have this controversy going on the internet with Clayton Jennings and what people are calling a meltdown. I know that you're heavily influenced by Clayton Jennings, and I don't want to misrepresent him because I don't know anything really about him other than that spoken word that we watched like 6 months ago, and I thought it was cool. But give a little insight onto who Clayton Jennings is before we kind of cover the meltdown.
Yeah. Clayton Jennings is a well-known evangelist from Indiana, and he does a lot of spoken word on YouTube, and did a crusade for a while. He went, I don't know how many months, 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
He's pretty well known, yeah.
I'd say so.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I only saw like 2 of the Instagram story clips where he was. Well, I saw the picture of him with the double middle finger up.
That was rough.
And then I opened up one of his videos where he's pretty much cussing out some dude named JD.
Yep, Jordan Hall. So
Shouldn't he be JH then?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It should be, but yeah, Jordan Hall. He's part of a social media group or something like that called Pulpit and Pen, and
that sounds unattractive.
It is, and they are well known for attacking people,
like Westboro,
Baptist, pretty much. Yeah.
Word.
And he targets a lot of the LGBTQ community,
mm-hmm.
and anyone who's puts himself out there with or proclaims their faith, I guess you could say. And yeah, supposedly JD Hall bullied a kid to where he killed himself.
Oh geez.
Mm-hmm. On social media for kissing his girlfriend.
These Christian, I don't even want to call them Christian because of the stuff that they do, but so pretty much we have this group who is antagonizing Clayton Jennings. Do you know why they were doing that?
I'm not sure why they are attacking his family. But I do know that Clayton Jennings had some past with some women before he married his wife and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he just dated them, but they came forward and talked to Jordan Hall and had these allegations. And I guess Jordan Hall was really big on twisting it and making it a lot worse than what it was.
Sure.
To tear him down.
What are the what allegations are being put against him?
Like supposedly he got a girl drunk and then had sex with her.
Okay.
Which was false, according to Clayton Jennings.
So it's a he said, she said type thing.
Yes.
So what I'm getting out of it is that this girl gets a contact with this group to tell them that Clayton Jennings did these things so that this group would find justice or just humiliate Clayton Jennings.
I personally, I think it was to humiliate and to find attention. Apparently one of the girls was from The Bachelor.
Hey, shout out to The Bachelor. Well, so we don't want to discredit the girl.
No, never.
What we want to do is find out what JD or Jordan Hall wants to do, or what is the purpose of pretty much trying to defame Clayton Jennings. So what I'm getting is that this group does this to other people already.
Yes.
And they're known to do this.
Yes.
So they're like the quote unquote Christian TMZ.
Pretty much.
Great. That's not good. And Clayton Jennings has all this influence, and then this girl comes up and says this happened to this Christian TMZ company who is now trying to defame Clayton Jennings, and what happened on Instagram is Clayton Jennings' response to that.
Yes.
Okay, will you explain a little bit about what happened on Instagram with Clayton?
So he posted that picture with the double middle finger saying,
double FU.
It was a double FU pretty much in all caps. And he wrote it out in the post. He set it to depression and all this kind of stuff, addressed a bunch of the bullies and all that kind of junk. And after that, he had posted on his story talking about JD Hall, saying he's tried to meet up with JD Hall, but he won't do it because he's quote unquote a coward.
So he wants to fight JD Hall. He wants to throw them hands.
That's what I see, because JD Hall brought his 1-year-old diabetic daughter into the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And so 1/3 of the Jennings family is
diabetic.
Jonas Brothers, Jennings Brothers. All right, go ahead, continue.
And I personally believe that you don't bring any kind of kid into something like that.
Right.
It's just messed up. It's
Yeah.
family. What did the baby do? Nothing.
Yep.
And he had also called Clayton Jennings' wife, Jamie, a pornographic name, but I do not remember what it was. I will be honest. But that happened.
Yeah.
And he told him, give me the time, address, and we'll sort this out, but you won't because you're a,
Coward.
I guess you could call it a coward. That's
What
not what
he's-
he said.
What does it start with?
That just starts with a P.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, so Clayton Jennings goes off on this dude. You know, one thing I don't want to say I liked about it, but I was entertained by is the passion that Clayton Jennings had in
Yeah.
this story. Cause he went from like, when I listen to him, I kind of think like this, is he country-ish? Does he come off country-ish?
He
Like
A
not
little
as in
bit.
music, but just like in stature and how
yeah.
he came off like a straight G in that Instagram. Bro, meet me here. I'm surprised he didn't start clapping his hands like, bro, come on. Like,
He's like, you shouldn't have messed with me.
yeah, he's like, you done brought my family in this, and now you're gonna have to pay for it. But I think that, you know, do you think it was an overreaction? Honestly,
A little bit.
what do you mean by a little bit?
I think that the way he's feeling is sinful but valid. But what he did when he put everything out there, I think that was a little over the top
Yeah,
because he's got young fans, he's got family fans. He's very family oriented.
sure. Do you think that because of his platform, it is elevated higher than what it would be if somebody like a nobody, like somebody that nobody knows, if they were to do that same thing, do you think that it would be just as bad, or do you think that it would be fine, so to speak?
In society, I think it'd be fine.
Right.
But I do believe that it'd be just as bad.
Yeah, I think that his platform elevates that way more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing I don't like about Clayton Jennings, Clayton, if you're listening, which you're probably not, one thing I didn't like is that he called religion a cult while still proclaiming Jesus. And I understand that organized religion can end up looking like a cult, but do you think that that helps or hurts his message as a whole?
I think it can go both ways.
Explain.
I think that it can hurt people because his message in a way that people may be looking for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of churches out there who, they're very passionate about spreading just, God's word.
Yeah.
And I think that people can get confused. So they're not going to want to go to church that, preaches just Jesus and stuff like that, or the things that we need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I think it can help in the sense that he is so passionate about preaching straight from the Bible.
Sure.
Well,
so I guess, how do I word this? If Clayton Jennings is saying that Jesus is this great person, is God, and religion is cult, how do people find Jesus then? Without going to church, without following preachers and pastors? Because if all that is cultish and Clayton Jennings knows Jesus, where does everybody else does everybody else find Jesus through Clayton Jennings? Or
yeah, that's kind of what I meant by it kind of hurts the message, because
Yeah.
it'll confuse people. Like, where do they find Jesus if he's talking about him like this?
they find him
Yes.
through Clayton, I guess.
I guess so.
No,
But that's
I'm not
a
with
very
that.
good,
Yeah, I'm definitely not with that. I mean, I do understand where he's coming from. I mean, I guess I don't at the same time because I don't have kids. But when somebody does threaten your family or come at your family, it's going to spark that type of reaction, that
Mhm.
anger. And I think that anger is 110% justified. But when you have a platform that's meant to encourage and to build people up, then you use it to tear other people down because they tore you down, that doesn't display such a Christ-like mindset. And here's the thing: Christians are so quick to preach grace, 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 grace. Give people grace. Time and time again, no matter what they do, give people grace because, God gave you grace even though you didn't deserve it. It's not a theological debate podcast, but this is what Christians are saying. And so for a Christian to go on and say religion is a cult, the church hurt me this bad, so the church is bad, and everybody in it is cultish, but Jesus is great. If you find Jesus, all things are good. And then somebody comes against you with allegations and you're like, I hate you, you're the worst, F you, F that, F this. I think that it comes off hypocritical.
Yeah.
And I think that he has a good heart and all he wants to do is protect himself and his family. But I think that this just wasn't the way to go about it.
Absolutely not.
And Jordan Hall, if I was you, I would try to stay away from Clayton Jennings. I think he's about that action. So
Yeah.
I think he really might run up on you if he sees you. So Jordan Hall, please stay safe and please stop trying to defame people because it's not helping the gospel message at all. No.
Yeah.
Neither is Westboro Baptist Church. Not helping the message at all. Running up and down the street with those signs that saying, "Are you going to heaven or hell?" Not really helping the gospel at all. I mean, have you ever felt better by seeing somebody with a sign that says, "Are you going to heaven or hell?"
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me?
Not even just a little bit.
No.
You don't ever just go, man, maybe I do need to think. It doesn't spark that
I mean, when you sit there and you hold up a sign, for instance, that says like, God hates fags or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just it's completely false.
Yeah. Correct.
Straight out of the Bible.
And for anybody who's wondering, again, this is not a theological debate podcast. We are not debating what your views are on homosexuality. But putting God and hate in the same sentence only works with God hates sin. And then you guys can figure out what you constitute sin as. I'm not giving my opinion on it. But when you're running up and down the street, pointing out people's sin and people's shortcomings, that's not effectively teaching the gospel. That's not effectively showing love to people. In fact, I just think it steers people away. And
It's guilt.
Yeah, it's just guilt tripping. And there's a difference between preaching the truth and conviction that comes from that and just simply hating people. And when you just show simple hate, it just turns people off to the truth. So despite all of that stuff that Clayton Jennings did, how do you think that not despite it, but how do you think that affects how you look at him now? Because you're a real fan of Clayton.
I'll be honest, it was definitely a little rough to see it. I looked up to him quite a bit. I mean, I used one of his videos for my testimony.
Yeah.
So that was,
And then the thing for your mom.
Yeah, the thing for my mom. Got a video of him saying hi to my mom. I mean, he addressed it in a Facebook Live. He apologized for the post. Does it make it go away? No, but in God's eyes, yes, God has forgotten about it if he's asked for forgiveness. But I mean, it changes a little bit.
Changes how you feel.
Yeah.
Do you think that you are more likely? Are you likely to continue supporting, or do you think that this is something that pushes you away more than?
It pushes me away a little bit. I'll be honest. I don't know. It's a little harder to kind of I see everything different now when I see his videos or hear spoken word. Like, I have a CD in my car. I haven't listened to it since.
Yeah,
because it's just weird. It's a different feeling.
Yeah, I think one thing that we got to be very mindful of is that when we hear or see something bad from somebody, we're likely to go back and look at everything that they've ever done and look at it in a different lens. And I think that what's going to be important for you, especially as a fan, is not to let the things that spoke life to you from Clayton, not to let those things affect your decision. Because if you let those things affect your decision, then you're going to continue to do the things that you do. And I think that what's going to be important for you, especially as a fan, is not to let the things that spoke life to you from Clayton, not to let those things affect your decision. Because if you let those things that spoke life to you from Clayton, not affect you as much now because of what has happened. Because you're still meant to see those things, and they're still it still had a reason and a purpose for you. So Clayton Jennings, shout out to you, man. Everybody goes through rough patches. It just sucks that you have to be in the spotlight while you're going through yours. And of course, people are going to feed off of it. Christians, you really got to chill out on Clayton Jennings. We understand what he did was not cool, but unless you're in the situation, you don't fully understand it. And we all do understand. And even Clayton understands that the route that was taken was not a good route. And he's already apologized for it and is making amends. But at the end of the day, if all you're going to do is judge him, then you are no better. You feel me? Yes, you feel me. So back to you. You said you just graduated high school last year, yeah?
Yep.
What do you think, or what response did you get? Were you a Christian in high school?
Yes, or for my junior and senior year.
Okay,
second half.
Second half. So it's only funny because he actually did 6 years in high school because he failed 2 times.
Yep, that's the truth. False.
I'm about to say you better tell people that that's actually false because they have no idea whether.
I
know. So walk me through that transition between sophomore year and junior year.
Ooh, that was a rough transition. So at the end of sophomore year, I had a group of friends that I was pretty close to, and then they kind of split off from me for, some rumors and stuff like that, for some
allegations.
I guess false allegations.
Were they false?
Yes, they were. They were false.
We only spit truth on here, right?
Absolutely.
Sorry, these false allegations. Are you comfortable telling what those false allegations, or like the nature of them?
Yeah, I don't want to put out any names. I don't,
Of course not. Don't put names, but.
But one of my friends was told that I was talking her down.
Okay.
And stuff like that. This is before Christ.
Right.
BC.
But you make me sick.
I know.
All right.
But so yeah, someone had told her that I was talking her down, and then I asked her for help one night over text, and she was like, I don't know if I'm able to help someone who talks about me behind my back.
Uh-oh.
And I was just like, what are you talking about? And then she said, this guy told me everything. And I was like, told you what's everything? And said that just told her what I said. That was false.
Oh, you getting
Hang
caught
on
up
a
out
second.
here.
Hang
Hold
on a
up.
second.
He said you just got caught up.
I'm not even thinking straight right now.
All right,
but anyway,
so she found out the truth about what you said.
She found out that there were rumors.
Okay.
And that's what that was. She did not find out any kind of truth because there was no truth in those allegations.
All right.
And I had the other friends that I had decided to side with her, even though they were there.
Right.
To hear everything. And I was talking about her, but not talking her down. That's what happened.
Were you talking her up?
I was talking about her.
So you're talking about her, but not down on her. So it was like a twisted word situation.
She had gotten angry, and I addressed the situation saying she was angry.
Okay.
And that's what had happened, and this guy decided to, spread a couple lies,
okay,
I guess you could say. And so all my other friends had split off, and then they decided that, wow, we're good at making rumors pretty believable, so let's see what else we can do. So they spread some other stuff around school.
About you?
About me.
Okay.
And I had people who I didn't even know hating on me, stuff like that, just social media and in person. And long story short, ended up going through a real hard time. Questioned a lot of life, I guess you could say. And my mom had been talking about this church. There's a church opening down the street, stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with church. I'm not open to it. And then there was one day I was like, you know what? I'll just go down there. Funny, I showed up my first day hungover as a 16-year-old And that was my first day at the church. And I ended up going to camp 2 weeks later, gave my life to Christ on my birthday, which is pretty cool.
Hey,
And it was on a Thursday. And
club going up, Christ going up on a Thursday. Got the blessings going up on a Thursday. Christ going up.
Come on.
Satan on the weekend. All right, sorry.
We don't want Satan during any part of the week. But yeah, so I gave my life to Christ and had some up and downs since then, but
Yeah.
I've been trying to stay faithful since then.
What response did you get from people when you started being Christian, or when you started to change or be transformed? What response did you get from those people that were hating on you before?
So this is actually pretty crazy. The summer I became a Christian was my last. It was right after I decided to move schools. Right.
Oh, perfect timing.
So the beginning of my junior year, I went to a school, and it was a charter school, but it was for kids who had a hard time in normal high school.
This man went to us. I'm confused.
It's okay. So long story short, I was the only kid there without a criminal record.
Hey.
And that's what it was,
Yet.
me and a couple other kids.
Yeah.
But the majority of everyone had a criminal record. So I was like this, at the time, innocent, kid
Sure.
who was doing everything he could to follow Jesus. And people would, I came to school in a Hillsong shirt. They're like, what do your shirts say? It's Hillsong. What's that? It's a worship band. And surprisingly, the response was not all that bad. They were curious. Like,
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Or, it was a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
So
did you stay at that school till you graduated?
I did.
Okay.
There were very few people who had a negative, response.
Well, that's good to hear. We often hear that Christianity is always faced with a negative response. So it's kind of cool to hear that there are people who don't look at it in a negative sense without looking into it a little bit further.
Yep.
Do you think that the way people look at you for being Christian has been different since you've graduated and been out into what, quote unquote, the real world?
I think so, a little bit.
In what ways?
Not necessarily in a bad way.
Okay.
Because I think getting out in the real world, God tends to test your faith.
Sure.
And my faith has been tested time and time again since I've graduated.
Mhm.
And I've done my absolute hardest to stay on the narrow path.
Yeah.
So
you don't think that people do look at you a little bit different and test you a little bit, but nothing is really shaking you too much?
a little bit after I graduated.
We'll go into that a little bit.
I ended up, Mom, if you're hearing this, what's up?
Word to my mama.
So
hey,
I ended up drinking again at one
Telling
point.
your
It was one
mama.
night. It was one night. She might hear this.
are you gonna tell you on the podcast today?
Hey, Mom, I'm on a podcast.
No, I said, are you gonna tell her in general?
I'm
in
telling
real
you
life?
right now.
Yeah, because she's gonna accidentally scroll past Ministry Misfits.
Hey,
Okay.
you never know.
Hey.
But I ended up drinking, and I woke up the next morning feeling like absolute trash. And it was a hard 2 days, I guess you could say, because I didn't remember the night before.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just so many things that I had ended up piling in.
Yeah.
I didn't bring forth to God. So that was a little rough. And then I had a chance to go to that last time CIY. And there was one night where we talked about confession. I ended up confessing, and ever since then I've been still on fire.
Sure. That's awesome. So what advice would you give to somebody who's been in your shoes or in partial parts of your situation. I know you didn't go in too much about your testimony too much because there's a lot of crazy stuff in there that we're not going to get into today. But if you could give advice to somebody who dealt with some of the stuff that you talked about today, what would you tell them to do?
When someone says that God loves you and that's what matters, don't take that for granted.
Sure.
At all, because people come and go.
Facts.
Our life on earth is very limited.
Yep. Unless you're Morgan Freeman, because that man's been living forever.
Dude, how old is he?
I don't know. Infinite.
He played God in Heaven Almighty.
Only person I'll allow it.
Don't take that for granted. It's, don't let it slip by.
Yeah.
Because that, when you really think about it, you pray to God and ask for peace, God will provide it.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing it is going to be some of the challenge.
Yeah. So in a couple episodes, we kind of chatted about, me and Matt talked a little bit about being comfortable in the church and how sometimes we feel like people want to be somewhere where they have somebody that they look like or somebody that they feel like they can connect to. Since you're white and me and Matt are both black, he's blackish. What do you think about that? Do you think that you're more likely to connect with people that you look like, or do you think that other people are more likely to do that? What do you think about all that?
Man, I love people.
I know you do,
love all
but
people. I try my hardest to connect with everyone.
Yeah.
Also, you don't go to church to get comfortable.
You shouldn't go to church to be comfortable.
You should not. No.
But
going to church is not. If you're looking to get comfortable at church, good luck. There are some churches who are gonna, baby you when you walk in.
Yeah.
But when you go to church, you're there to talk about the reality of the gospel.
Sure.
I mean, look at me. Do you see me trying to connect with anyone that I look like?
You're a country boy. You're a little confused.
I'm not confused.
You're like a country boy, but you wear fitted caps. I don't really get it, but
dude, I have a big head. Okay,
that's why your last name's Head.
It is.
No, but there's just this thought that, you can go into a church where nobody looks like you and it can be mad uncomfortable and you feel like you're not a part of that community because you don't fit in. Do you think that that's a thing?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think that not feeling like you're accepted into a community can stump your concentration. Churches have cliques.
Oh, for sure. Every place has cliques. Do you think that there's a certain amount of diversity a church should have on staff to try to bridge that gap, or do you think that that doesn't matter as much?
I think that the people on staff should be passionate about diversity.
Sure.
Even if they're not that diverse, I think they should be very passionate about diversity. There's nothing wrong with it. If the staff is pretty diverse, then it could help some people who aren't familiar with church and they're just looking to be comfortable.
Yeah.
It may help them stick around.
Yeah, I mean, no racial, but I would like to see a black person at church. I don't know why. It's just, and I love all people. You of all people know that I love all people, but I'd like to see a black person at church. I don't know. Maybe it just makes me feel like, hey, look, somebody I can connect with. I guess. I don't. Listen, we had a black girl come to church this weekend, and I was so excited because I was like, hey.
What was it you said? You were like, have you met Rebecca? What'd you say?
You can't say her name. I'm going to have to black that out. It's okay. Nobody. It's going to go.
Okay, so they said, have you met her? And what did you say?
I said, duh. The only other black person in this city. No racial. I love all people. We just live in a city that's predominantly white. And I think that for a young black girl that can be intimidating. I mean, unless she's always lived in a place
in
that's been. Oh, for sure. It depends on where you grew up.
Yeah.
Like I grew up around majority Mexicans for a few years, and I thought I was Mexican for a pretty long time.
I think it could be intimidating for any race if you're, depending on where you grew up, especially in 2019. Racial tension high,
Super high.
extremely, and I think that it can be intimidating for any race to be in a predominantly opposite raced place.
What is Oh my lord, man! All right, so is there any new music out that you've been listening to?
Man, you know what? I know the Jonas Brothers did
Oh,
the
here we
Purity Ring, but that sucker song is pretty good.
I'm not talking about the Jonas Brothers again.
I am.
Love it. Okay, so you said that you're a musician.
Yep.
What majority of music do you play?
I play a whole lot of gospel stuff, but I also love country music. Wow, shocker. I've been
I wish people could see you right now.
I know.
This man's wearing a flannel that is 2 buttons down with a cross necklace, and
Oh, look, this one doesn't have the button that's supposed to go right there, though. Yeah, it does.
so he's wearing
I
a
got
flannel, it's 2 buttons down, and a backwards fitted cap.
With
He's the
Wranglers
most-
and boots.
With regulars and boots. This man is so confused. Love this
I'm
guy.
not confused.
Yes, you are. It's okay. Love this guy. Have you ever had a instance where you were helping a new student and they were nothing like you and they didn't like you? Or you
Here?
felt like they didn't like you? Just ever. Have you ever met somebody that you brought to church or that came into church that was new that you were in contact with and it just seemed like they didn't like you?
Not necessarily that they didn't like me, but didn't like anyone, I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That they did not want to talk to anyone.
What do you do in that situation?
I ask them simple questions. What are their interests?
Nothing's more awkward than asking somebody questions that doesn't want to answer them.
Oh,
We had this one dude a few months ago. We were asking him mad questions, and he had 1-word answers for everything. And I was like, brother, talk to me. Come on, let's chat. Let's chittity chat.
I shook his hand. He shook my hand, and I was like, "How you doing?" And he just nodded. I was like,
Yo, okay.
All right,
Well,
that's
we're
good.
We're gonna close in a second, but I want to tell you this experience I had the other day. I'm walking to the mailbox because I live in an apartment complex right now. Walk to the mailbox, and this guy's walking up to the gate, and so I open it. Right. He walks through it and stares me dead in the eye all the way until he passes me and doesn't say a word, nod, or anything.
"That was it." He just looked
shook.
at you.
I was so shook. I was like, okay, you're welcome, bro.
That's a little weird.
It was
A
mad
little
weird.
sketchy.
Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't imagine like having to be next to him in the mailbox room because I was like, that would have been awkward
Hey, brother.
for real. All right, man, we're gonna close out, but let's see, what dumb question can I ask you? Okay, if you had to get rid of one of these 3 things, which one would you get rid of and why? You ready?
I hope.
Country music, boots, and hats.
Oh, dude, come on. You know what? I'm gonna have to go hats.
Really?
That's a surprising answer.
It is because your head's so
I gotta
big.
cover this thing, like wherever I go.
Yo, when his hat's backwards, it kind of looks like a do-rag. I think that's why he feels cultured.
Come on, dude.
All right, if you've made it this far, you're either really bored or you are just really excited about some of the stuff we talk about. Either way, we're just glad that you're here. Thank you for joining us on Ministry Misfits podcast. Like it on iTunes, follow us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll be back next week with new content, and Matt will be back. Like us on Facebook, all that jazz, Ministry Misfits. Bye.
Ministry misfits.